It was supposed to be a routine police call. Instead, before noon, a room full of executives watched two officers freeze in disbelief as they read the name printed across an aging property deed. The man they had been ordered to drag out of the building, the quiet janitor with worn work boots and a faded cleaning cart, was legally connected to the very headquarters they were standing inside. In one breathtaking moment, power shifted, pride collapsed, and a truth buried for decades rose to the surface with enough force to change every life in the room. If you believe kindness always matters, forgiveness is stronger than revenge, and everyone deserves a second chance, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel. Every story shared in our community reminds someone that compassion still exists, and together our family keeps those stories alive. By late morning, sunlight streamed through the towering glass walls of Ashcroft Dynamics, one of the fastest-growing engineering companies in the country. Employees hurried across polished marble floors carrying laptops and coffee cups, barely noticing the elderly janitor carefully wiping fingerprints from the lobby windows. His name was Alistair Rowan. He had worked quietly for years, always arriving before most employees and finishing every task with remarkable care. Few people knew anything about him. Some assumed he had once been a teacher because of the way he spoke. Others believed he had simply fallen on difficult times. He never corrected anyone. He simply smiled, greeted everyone warmly, and kept working. Many employees appreciated him because he remembered birthdays, noticed when someone looked troubled, and always seemed to know exactly when a kind word was needed. New hires often discovered handwritten notes tucked beside their desks wishing them success on their first day. Nobody ever caught him leaving them, but everyone suspected it was Alistair. Only one person seemed determined not to see his humanity. The company's recently appointed chief executive, Meredith Caldwell, believed appearances represented success. She had earned a reputation for transforming struggling companies into profitable corporations, but she had also become known for ruthless efficiency. She disliked anything that reminded investors of age, poverty, or imperfection. To her, every detail affected the company's image. That morning she entered the lobby with several international investors touring the headquarters. As cameras flashed and reporters waited outside, Meredith noticed Alistair adjusting a bucket near the entrance after a child had accidentally spilled juice moments earlier. Instead of recognizing someone preventing a dangerous slip, she saw only an inconvenience. Her expression hardened. Without asking what had happened, she loudly accused the elderly janitor of embarrassing the company during an important visit. Employees nearby lowered their eyes, uncomfortable with the harsh criticism. Alistair quietly apologized even though he had done nothing wrong. Rather than allowing him to finish cleaning safely, Meredith demanded he leave immediately. When he calmly explained he needed only another minute to make the entrance safe for visitors, she interpreted his quiet confidence as defiance. Furious, Meredith ordered security to remove him. Security hesitated. Most guards respected Alistair because he had once helped save an employee who collapsed from a medical emergency by performing CPR until paramedics arrived. They knew his character. Still, orders were orders. When the guards approached, Alistair simply placed his mop against the wall and folded his hands peacefully. He neither argued nor resisted. Meredith's frustration only grew stronger. Believing the hesitation reflected weakness, she pulled out her phone and called emergency services herself, insisting there was a trespasser refusing to leave private property. Within minutes, 2 police officers arrived. Employees gathered quietly around the lobby. Nobody expected history to unfold. Officer Graham Fletcher asked everyone to remain calm while he listened carefully to both sides. Meredith confidently explained that an employee had become insubordinate and refused to leave company property after being terminated. Alistair remained remarkably composed. When Officer Fletcher politely requested identification, the elderly janitor handed over a worn leather wallet containing his driver's license along with several folded documents he always carried. One sheet caught the officer's attention immediately. It appeared to be an original property deed. Curious, Fletcher unfolded it. Carefully, his partner leaned closer. The officers exchanged confused glances, then they looked back at Alistair, then again at Meredith. The property description matched the exact address of Ashcroft Dynamics headquarters. More astonishing still, one of the original owners listed on the legally recorded deed was Alistair Rowan. Silence swept across the lobby. Meredith laughed nervously. assuming it had to be fraudulent. But the officers weren't smiling. They contacted county property records employees. Waited breathlessly. Within minutes confirmation arrived. Although ownership structures had changed over decades through corporate reorganizations, historical filings confirmed that Alastair Rowan had been one of the founding property holders whose original land agreement remained permanently referenced in every transfer that followed. Officer Fletcher looked toward Meredith with measured professionalism that he quietly explained that the situation was far more complicated than removing a trespasser. N01 move. N01 spoke. Alastair finally took a slow breath and looked around the building with gentle eyes filled not with anger but with memories. Nearly 45 years earlier, this building had not existed. There had only been an abandoned warehouse and an impossible dream. Back then Alastair had been a gifted mechanical engineer working alongside his closest friend, Theodore Ashcroft. Together they had invested everything they owned into transforming an empty industrial property into a small manufacturing company. Alastair designed the first prototypes that he mortgaged his family home. His wife painted office walls herself while pregnant with their daughter. Employees were treated like relatives because everyone believed they were building more than a business. They were building opportunity. Then tragedy arrived. Within one heartbreaking year, Alastair lost both his wife and young daughter in a devastating highway accident during daylight while returning from a school celebration. Grief consumed him. Unable to continue leading the company, he signed operational control to Theodore while keeping only a symbolic legal interest connected to the original property agreement. Theodore repeatedly begged him to return, but Alastair disappeared. He spent years volunteering, repairing schools, helping charities, and living quietly. Meanwhile Theodore transformed the small company into an international corporation. Before Theodore passed away many years later, he instructed the board never to erase Alastair's legacy. His ownership connection remained protected within the company's historical structure, though few people remembered why. Generations of executives came and went, files were archived, stories faded. Eventually Meredith became CEO without ever hearing the complete history. To her, Alastair had simply appeared years earlier asking for work as a janitor. She never imagined he had intentionally accepted the position. After Theodore's death, Alastair occasionally returned to the company because it reminded him of happier days. He never wanted power. He simply wanted to remain close to the dream he had once shared with his best friend. Cleaning the floors gave him peace. Watching young engineers succeed gave him purpose. Whenever employees struggled financially, anonymous donations mysteriously appeared through the company assistance fund. Nobody knew Alastair quietly financed many of them. The room filled with emotion as older retired staff members, having heard the commotion, arrived after recognizing police vehicles outside. One elderly receptionist immediately burst into tears upon seeing Alastair standing beside the officers. She remembered him from the earliest days. One by one, forgotten stories emerged. How he had paid hospital bills for an employee's son, how he had personally repaired workers' cars without charging them, how he refused bonuses so younger families could receive raises. How every Christmas party decades earlier included handwritten gifts because expensive presents were impossible. The building itself seemed to carry echoes of those memories. Meredith stood frozen. For perhaps the first time in her career, quarterly reports and investor presentations felt meaningless beside the quiet dignity of the man she had publicly humiliated. She realized she had spent years measuring value through titles, offices, and appearances while overlooking the character standing beside her every single day. She remembered passing Alastair hundreds of times without asking about his life, remembered ignoring his cheerful greetings, remembered seeing only a uniform. Shame settled heavily across her heart. The investors who had witnessed everything surprised everyone. Instead of criticizing the company, they praised the extraordinary integrity represented by its forgotten founder. One quietly remarked that businesses survive because of balance sheets but become legendary because of people like Alastair. That sentence lingered throughout the lobby. Meredith slowly walked toward the elderly janitor. Her confidence had disappeared. The polished executive now looked like someone carrying the weight of painful self-discovery. She admitted she had judged a human being by appearance instead of character. She confessed that success had gradually blinded her to compassion. Most importantly, she acknowledged that none of her achievements justified humiliating another person. Alastair listened patiently. His face showed sadness but not bitterness. He gently explained that pride often grows silently, making good people forget what truly matters. He admitted that losing his own family had taught him something success never could, that every stranger carries invisible grief, hidden sacrifice, and untold courage. You never truly know whose path you're crossing. Those words touched nearly everyone present. Many employees quietly wiped away tears. Meredith offered to resign immediately. She believed she no longer deserved to lead. Alastair surprised everyone again. He refused. He explained that punishment alone rarely changes hearts, growth does. Instead of resignation, he challenged Meredith to rebuild the company's culture around dignity, gratitude, and respect for every employee regardless of title. Executives would spend one day each month working alongside maintenance teams, receptionists, cafeteria staff, and warehouse workers. Leadership training would include empathy as seriously as financial strategy. Employee assistance programs would expand. Scholarships honoring Theodore Ashcroft and Alastair Rowan would support children of hourly workers pursuing engineering degrees. The board unanimously approved every proposal before lunch. Months later, the atmosphere inside Ashcroft Dynamics had transformed. Executives greeted custodians by name, departments volunteered together in local schools, employee turnover dropped dramatically, productivity improved, investors praised the healthier culture. The lobby wall displayed a simple bronze plaque featuring photographs from the company's earliest days. At its center stood a younger Alastair beside Theodore, both covered in paint while smiling in front of the unfinished building. Beneath the picture appeared one sentence: "Great companies are built by hands willing to serve." Alastair continued working exactly as before. He declined an executive office. He declined wealth beyond what he needed. Most mornings he could still be found polishing the lobby windows as sunlight poured through the glass, greeting every employee with the same warm smile. Only now every greeting was returned with genuine respect. Before we reach the end of this story, we'd love to hear from you. Please leave a meaningful comment sharing whether you believe true leadership is defined by power, or by the way we treat people who can offer us nothing in return. As another bright afternoon settled over the headquarters, Meredith watched Alastair quietly help a nervous new employee carry supplies across the lobby. No cameras recorded the moment. No investors applauded. Yet she understood that this simple act represented the greatest lesson of her career. Buildings could be purchased, companies could be sold, and titles could disappear overnight, but kindness became part of a legacy that no deed, contract, or balance sheet could ever fully contain. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. Thank you for being part of our community, where every story reminds our family that compassion, humility, forgiveness, and hope will always outlast pride.